What is going on, everyone? Welcome back to the Full 90. Before we start, I just want to say a massive thank you for all the support on the recent videos. It's been absolutely insane. Let's try and smash 100 likes for this Champions League prediction video. It is game week / match day 3 for the Champions League, and I'm super excited. Last week, the week 2 of the Champions League was a bit of a rough one, but there were some good predictions in there. I correctly predicted Chelsea to beat Lille 2-1 away from home. I correctly predicted Tottenham to put 2 past Bayern Munich and still lose, just not by a goal margin of 5. So that was pretty damn funny. But please, as always, leave your comments down below for what you think is going to happen in the week 3 fixtures, and I'm going to get in right now and discuss them with you with my predictions, and hopefully we can get more than one perfect score this time round. I feel pretty confident. And looking at my predictions, I'm predicting a lot of goals. A lot of goals for this week of the Champions League. Let me add them up real quick. 49 goals in 1 week of the Champions League. How many were there in the last week? Bayern Munich will definitely help with that one. To be fair, there were 52 goals in week 2, so 49 goals isn't a terrible prediction. So let's get in. Kicking it off, we have Atletico Madrid versus Bayer Leverkusen. Bayer Leverkusen going through a little bit of a sticky patch. It's looking unlikely that they're going to get out of the group. It is a very tough group to get out of. Atletico Madrid, of course, are an absolute unit at home. They just are so good, so I think it's going to be comfortable enough. Obviously, Bayer Leverkusen did lose 3-0 out to Juventus last time, and I did predict they'd at least score a goal in that fixture, but they weren't able to do that. So I think Atletico Madrid is even more difficult. It's even more difficult to go there and score a goal. So I'm going to go for a 2-0 win to Atletico Madrid in this fixture. The next one is Shakhtar Donetsk versus Dinamo Zagreb. Now, Dinamo Zagreb losing against Man City at the Etihad. That's kind of what you expect, but Shakhtar Donetsk, I believe, I want to say, coming from behind away to Atalanta to win 2-1 is quite a feat, and Shakhtar Donetsk look like they're in a good position to qualify from the group with Manchester City, which would be really good for them. And I am going to go for a win against Dinamo Zagreb. Obviously, Zagreb, their points are going to come primarily from their home games, and I do think they're going to struggle to take anything away from Shakhtar in this fixture. So I'm going to go for a 3-1 win to Shakhtar Donetsk. There's always goals in Shakhtar games on both sides. They tend to concede, but I think at home they will definitely have the strength and the power to overturn Dinamo Zagreb. So the next game is Club Brugge up against PSG, and it looked like for so long that Club Brugge were going to upset Real Madrid, but of course Real Madrid managed to claw their way back from utter embarrassment to make it a 2-2 draw, but still a good result for Club Brugge in the end. I believe Real Madrid before this match week, on a technicality, are actually at the bottom of the group, which is just funny. But Club Brugge versus PSG, I think this is going to be a win for Paris Saint-Germain. They clearly mean business. I don't even know the situation with Neymar and Mbappe, whether I think Neymar's back, He's been playing. Mbappe, I don't know if he's still injured. I really haven't researched too much into PSG. I only really get into watching their fixtures when they're playing in the Champions League. And obviously last season I paid closer attention to them because they're in a group with Liverpool. And I always keep a closer eye on the English teams in the Champions League and to an extent the Europa League. But I think PSG are going to get the job done here. I don't think it's going to be fireworks. I don't think it's going to be a thrashing. And Club Brugge they're not mugs, basically. Obviously, they almost beat Real Madrid, which would have been a great result. But I'm going to go for another 2-0 result to PSG in this fixture. Now, the next one promises to be very interesting. I've gone high scoring. It's Galatasaray up against Real Madrid. Now, in the previous week, Galatasaray lost to PSG only 1-0. And obviously, Real Madrid, they drew 2-2 with Club Brugge. But Real Madrid, they're looking okay. Hazard's starting to find his feet in La Liga, and they're looking all right. I believe they're actually at the top of the league, which is fairly decent. But obviously at the Champions League, they got some work to do, and luckily for them, they're in a fairly easy group, so I do still expect them to qualify. I think this is going to be a very interesting, exciting game to watch. I'm going to go for a 3-2 away win to Real Madrid. I think it's going to have remnants of the Club Brugge game, but I think Real Madrid will just be able to get the win. I don't think Galatasaray will be able to take anything from them, but they could do. They could do. This will be one to sort of just keep one eye on while the other games are going ahead. The next one is Juventus up against Lokomotiv Moscow, and obviously I believe Lokomotiv Moscow had a great result against Bayer Leverkusen in the first week. They then lost to Atletico Madrid 2-0 at home, and now they're travelling to Juventus. And I think it's going to be another tough night for them. Juventus are looking strong. I'm going to go for a 3-0 win to Juve. I don't see anything other than that happening, so I guess we're just going to have to, wait and see how that goes. I'm not even going to go as far to say that I think Lokomotiv Moscow could cause an upset in this one. Some teams, like maybe a Bayer Leverkusen, could be capable, but I don't see it happening. So moving on, we have Manchester City up against Atalanta. Man City, they're in an interesting position. They're not doing badly this year, but obviously by their standards and the standards that Liverpool are setting in the Premier League, it does look like they're slipping up a little bit. And compared to their last season, they are making a few little mistakes here and there. So I think this is going to be, with Atalanta again, another really high-scoring game. I think it's going to be goals both ends because Man City are struggling and are a bit thin in defence. So I'm going to go for a 4-2 win to Manchester City. That would be a great prediction to get right. And honestly, I could genuinely see a 4-2. I've never been so confident in a 4-2 in my life. Obviously, at this point of filming, I don't know the lineups, anything like that. But I'm going to go for a 4-2 and just see how it goes. Now, the next game is Olympiakos up against Bayern Munich. And obviously, Bayern, last time out, they slapped up Tottenham 7-2. And Olympiakos, they might have even been winning against Red Star Belgrade, but a couple of late goals and they end up losing 3-1, and it looks like they've been absolutely stuffed. I don't think the scoreline necessarily does the game justice. I think maybe one goal either way would make more sense, but in the end, they couldn't beat Red Star Belgrade. I think this is going to be a very, very tough one. It's not easy to follow up from a loss against Red Star to then play Bayern Munich, who look absolutely relentless. And watching that Tottenham-Bayern Munich game, obviously I'm so used to watching the Premier League, it was so refreshing to see, because obviously this year, watching the likes of Tottenham, United, Arsenal, as an Arsenal fan myself, watching them in the Premier League has been kind of rough because the quality of football hasn't been there, even with the likes of Manchester City. So watching how clinical, how efficient Bayern Munich were, it was so good to watch. Lewandowski is on another level, and I believe he's the top scorer currently in Europe of this season. He's absolutely crushing it for club and country, and I see Bayern Munich walking away with a comfortable enough win. I'm going to go for a 3-1 away win to Bayern Munich in this fixture. Now, the next one, as we just mentioned, Tottenham versus Red Star Belgrade. Tottenham have been having a tough time as of late. Before this game, they would have played Watford in the Premier League. I predicted a 2-0 win to Tottenham there. This is once again at home, and it would be great to string together back-to-back wins. Red Star Belgrade traditionally do not travel as well. Their home ground is their fortress. I think a draw for Tottenham away from home would be a fair shout, but I think at home, Tottenham should have enough to win, despite going through a rocky patch, despite missing personnel. You know, Hugo Lloris, if the clip of him messing up his arm is anything to go by, he will not be available for this game. I'm going to go for a close 2-1 win to Tottenham Hotspur in this fixture. Now, moving on to the next day of fixtures, I believe. First up, we have Ajax versus Chelsea, and if Chelsea can get 3 points away to Ajax, I think that pretty much, not mathematically in any way, but realistically should seal their qualification. I think they've got a tough group to get out of, but I do think they are capable of it. It's going to be interesting to see how it actually goes. But I've gone for a 2-2 draw between the two teams here. I think Chelsea are going to, they're going to go all guns blazing. They do tend to play quite well in Europe. Obviously, they won the Europa League last year, and they are playing some good football. Ajax, obviously, they are a strong team. Not quite as strong as last year, but not as weak in comparison to that as some people are suggesting. They're still very good. I still expect them to finish top of the group. That's why I predicted them, and they look like a good solid unit, a team that can at least make the quarterfinals, semi-finals maybe even, and genuinely cause an upset for some teams. So I think it's going to be a very entertaining game, this one. Ajax is always fun to watch, and likewise this season, Chelsea has also been fun to watch. So I think a 2-2 draw would be a fair prediction for that one. The next one is RB Leipzig up against Zenit St. Petersburg. Leipzig, I believe they slipped up a little bit. They did. They lost 2-0 at home to Lyon in the last fixture, and I had a lot of people flaming me for putting Leipzig in third in the group, and maybe I did do them a bit dirty. I think I put Lyon at the top of the group as well, and I'm just saying, Lyon winning 2-0 away, that kind of helps my cause a little bit there. But I think Leipzig will bounce back and have enough to beat Zenit St. Petersburg. Zenit have surprised me. They're playing some good football. Maybe I didn't give them enough credit also, but I think that's just me being ignorant and not knowing much about the standard of the Russian Premier League. Not that all the way down it's that great, but, the likes of Lokomotiv Moscow, CSKA in Moscow, all those, they're not bad teams. But I think Leipzig are just going to be able to get the win at home here. I'm going to go for a 2-1 victory to them. Now, the next game is a very, very interesting one. I dabbled with a home win for quite a while. It's FC Salzburg up against Napoli. Again, if you didn't watch the Liverpool-Salzburg game at Anfield, the 4-3 thriller, it was phenomenal. Just going from 3-0 Liverpool, it looks comfortable, and I sat there and watched the first part of the second half and just saw goal after goal after goal, and I was getting hyped, and I have no affiliation with these teams or real interest in this game, essentially, and as a neutral, I was actually on the edge of my seat, so that in a game is fantastic. I was going to go for a Salzburg win over Napoli because Napoli are a great team. I really, really like Napoli as a team, but their away form isn't the best, and I think Salzburg could capitalise on that at home, but I'm going to sit on the fence. I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw in this fixture. Now, the next one of the easier ones to predict, in my opinion, it is Genk up against Liverpool. Liverpool, they managed to escape with the win against Salzburg. They obviously did lose to Napoli, but fortunately, they've got the likes of Genk, and they are just a bit better than Napoli and Salzburg, so they shouldn't have any issues qualifying. I'm going to go for a comfortable 3-0 away win to Liverpool, which might seem like a brave prediction given that, first of all, they have the game against Manchester United on the Sunday a few days prior, so we don't know what happens there, whether there's injuries or anything like that. But also, last season in the group stage, they didn't take a point from any of their 3 away group matches, so I'm predicting them to do that in this one, a 3-0 win to them. Now, the next one's a very interesting one. I honestly could pick the winner either way. It's Inter Milan up against Borussia Dortmund. I initially went for an Inter Milan win. I know Alexis Sanchez is now out injured, but I just don't know. I feel like I do have a lot of confidence in Borussia Dortmund, and I'm not even sure why. I just think it's going to be a really, really entertaining game. I was going to go 2-1 Milan, but I'm going to sit on the fence once again, and I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw between these two teams, which would be extremely exciting. Okay, I think I just had a delivery, but it's only a wire, so I think it was small enough to fit through my letterbox. So I think that's what I just heard downstairs. I'm just going to have to go get that. The next game, a very tough one to predict. It is Lille up against Valencia. Lille coming up just short against Chelsea in the previous match week, and Valencia getting thrashed 3-0 by Ajax at their home ground. I think this is going to be a very, very tight one, and I think if Lille want to make steps towards qualification, they need to win this one. However, I don't see it happening. Valencia are somewhat of a draw specialist when they want to be, and I'm going to go for another draw. My last draw of the video, I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw between these two teams. And now to finish off the week, it is Slavia Prague up against Barcelona. How great would it be if Slavia Prague just keep putting in the performances and manage to pull out a qualification out the bag? Obviously, I don't see it happening. It's very, very difficult to get out of that group for them. And Barcelona, I think they're going to win this one quite easily. I'm just going to go for a 2-0 away win to Barcelona. So that is going to do it for the Week 3 fixtures. All right, so I don't know how, but I completely missed out the Benfica and Lyon match. Literally, again, I have no idea how I did that, but I'm going to go for a 2-1 home win to Benfica to really spice things up in that group. Let me know down in the comments what you think is going to happen. I'll read them all. Even if the comments aren't necessarily prediction-based, if they just want to talk to me, then by all means do it. I read all the comments, and I love to do that. So yeah, leave a like if you enjoyed. Like I said, let's try and reach 100 likes. Thank you so much for the support on the videos, and I will see you in the next video very soon.